welcome back everyone to another DeFi Raiders AMA. My name's Relentless. Today I'm talking to the team from Chronos Fi, a new 3.3 inspired project that's launching on Arbitrum. And we also got a surprise guest up here today, one of their recently announced partnerships with Byte Masons. So we got Samson up here representing them. So super excited to talk to you guys, and thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time, really appreciate the opportunity, and looking forward to hearing about this. I know you guys said you got a bunch of unique things. I refused to let Unified tell me any of it because I wanted to hear it live too. So I'm super pumped to have this. So with that, do you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves as the team? I've gotten a lot of questions about the team background and everything, so I know a lot of people are looking forward to hearing from you guys.
Yeah, hello, how's it going? First of all, thanks guys to supporting us and to having us here. We love DeFi Riders community. I follow you guys a long time ago, and you're doing really well. Yeah, thanks all the attenders here. Today we have some big announcement, some big surprises, maybe some whitelist for the audience. We will see. It's a pleasure. I am the CEO and founder of Chronos. I've been in crypto about around 5 years ago. I started investing as a retail investor. After that, I decided to start and create some companies in the space. I created my first project around 2 years ago. Was a DeFi protocol on Polkadot. We raised it around 3 millions through private investors. After 1 year and a half working really hard as a COO and co-founder, I decided to sell in my shares of the company because I decided to move fully on NFTs when Bored Ape and all that started. Also, I buy in some Bored Apes really early, and like doing a lot of NFT and that. And yeah, around 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I come in other time fully on DeFi and on crypto in general. And yeah, doing really good farms, investing in as a private investor in few really good protocols in more than 5 blockchains. And yeah, right now, we've seen the space. We love Arbitrum. When they started, also I invested in the first protocols here. We are here, we are builders. I love to create companies who add value basically and who make sense for the market and for the community. That's our purpose, to creating something new, something really quality, to do something long-term sustainable regarding the token, the economics. That's why we are trying to have all the minimum details really policed. And yeah, that's really quickly about me. Thanks, guys, for hearing us. Go unify it.
Hey guys, I'm Unified. I've been in crypto since 2020. I got involved during the pandemic, and I was around for the first DeFi summer in 2020. Unfortunately, at that time, I didn't really understand enough about how all this stuff worked to make it, but I've spent the last 3 years pretty much doing this full time. And I've been really involved with the community over on the Phantom Network for a long time. And through a couple of mutual friends, I ended up linking up with Chronos and Satsi, and they invited me to come aboard. And I've been helping them with all sorts of stuff on Chronos, and I'm super excited about what we're building. It's as we're going to talk about today, we're implementing some really unique new features that haven't been used in a V33 DEX before, and we hope that it's going to help us really stand out from the crowd over on Arbitrum.
Yeah, I remember Unified actually being around for the Oath LGE. Am I wrong? I kind of feel like definitely been seeing it for a long time. Yeah. So my name's Samson from the Byte Masons. We're very affiliated with the Oath ecosystem, and also now the Grain ecosystem via Granary. And yeah, we are all about long-term sustainable solutions. That's what excites us the most about improving DeFi. And we're really excited to share the stage here with Chronos and talk about some of these new developments. But I'll keep my lips pursed for now and let you guys sort of unravel. But yeah, thanks for having us up, and looking forward to speaking with you all.
Yeah, a quick thing. If you can ask Satsi here, who also is a co-founder of Chronos, appreciate it.
Yep, getting them up. I was also around for the LG of Oath, and I'll be honest, I think I had been in DeFi for, I think that was like March or something last year. I'd been in DeFi for all of about 2 months and had only done a couple Ponzi GameFi stuff, and I bought a bunch of Oath, and I had absolutely no idea what it was, but it worked out for me. So thanks for being a good project there.
No problem. Thanks for your support.
Yeah, and Satsy, I got you. I invited you to speak, so it's connecting right now. Sometimes, Elon rugs us with in different ways each time. So eventually it'll connect, I'm sure. So, all right, very cool. So, all right, so just kind of we'll just start off with just a general high level overview, just for anyone who's listening. I know most people are probably familiar with the 3-3 model, considering it's it's all the hotness right now. But I've talked to quite a few people who weren't as familiar with the Athena model, right? So do you want to kind of give a high level overview of what Chronos is, just so we can kind of lay the groundwork?
Yeah, do you want to do this one, Chronos? Or
Yeah,
you want me to do
sure.
this one?
Don't launch too much into the details, because I got a bunch of questions. So.
Yeah.
No problem. We'll start with what's known for now. And so, like, the V33 model was first introduced with Solidly, and it's basically an attempt at solving the incentivization problem for attracting token liquidity. And the way this model works is essentially, instead of each individual project needing to incentivize their own token liquidity through things like yield farming incentives, it sort of shifts that whole onus of incentivization onto the DEX. And through the V33 mechanism, which allows users to lock their emissions to vote on gauges, which directs emissions to the pools, which attracts liquidity, and through things like bribes and other built-in mechanisms, it creates a really economical way for projects that need to have liquidity for their token. And if you're a project, liquidity is super important, because that's what allows your token to be tradable. It cuts down on volatility, and it just really helps promote a healthier trading environment that leads to more interest and the ability for the price of your token, as well as your project as a whole, to grow over time. So the Solidly model relies on kind of a couple of basic mechanisms. V, which stands for vote escrow. By locking your emissions, you earn the right to vote on the protocol's gauges. The gauges control the rate that the emissions are emitted to the liquidity pools. By providing the liquidity, you earn those emissions, and the person that voted to direct those incentives to your pool earns the trading fees on that pool. I know it's really complicated, and so I hope that made sense. It kind of sounds like word salad, but you get the basic idea.
All right, very cool, very cool. Yeah, I appreciate the breakdown. Just like to try to let everybody know exactly what we're talking about. You can't always guarantee that everybody listening is super familiar. All right, so then with the Athena model compared to the typical Solidly model, right? What are your decision to utilize that model? What are the advantages there over the old just 3-3 model?
Well, so the thing that Thena introduced that was really interesting, they did a couple of things. And the thing we took from them is we're doing all of our initial bootstrapping, getting our initial funds to add liquidity to the DEX and get everything working by selling a limited edition NFT collection. And so we've started the private sale for that now, and then the public sale will be happening pretty soon. And then those funds will be used to supply the initial liquidity to the DEX and make it like a community-owned platform.
Okay, word, perfect. All right. So, and then I just got kind of one more just general question before we kind of dig into like all the nitty gritty of the project is and it's kind of a common question right now, but I want to ask it just because of the 3-3 wars is why ARB? Why Arbitrum, despite the amount of 3-3s that are launching in the competition there?
So the main thing that we noticed on Arbitrum is even though there's a lot of 3-3 dexes on there, we didn't see a lot that seemed really dedicated to, I don't want to say anything bad about a competitor, but that seemed to be dedicated to really becoming sort of a digital public good over the long haul. What we've seen with so much competition on Arbitrum is a lot of mercenary capital, a lot of people farming the high APRs, collecting bribes, kind of dumping the emissions into oblivion. And we see a lot less of like sort of a healthy strategy for like the long-term growth.
I think you mute the Unified.
Yeah, Unified, you're muted right now. I don't.
Sorry about that.
No,
I don't know what happened.
Me either. But you're good. Keep going.
Okay, I don't know what happened.
This
but yeah,
pace?
He's
I
trying.
feel like I'm lagging.
Bro, he's done it to me a bunch of times recently. So I
throw me some reacts in chat so that I know that I'm still here.
Yeah, there we go. I can hear you. All right. So the last kind of thing you said was that you didn't want to like talk down about competition, et cetera, and then it kind of like muted in and out.
So yeah, basically what I was saying is that like on Arbitrum, what we've seen so far from the V33 dexes is that they seem to be promoting a strategy where everybody is going in, farming emissions, dumping those emissions, and then every epoch they're just sort of chasing the highest APRs. And it's kind of reminiscent of what we saw with the food farms back in 2020. And so, well, it's been great, like from a user standpoint, everybody's farming and everybody's making a lot of money. It seems like it's not something that's going to be super sustainable over the long run. And so I don't want to like say that these projects aren't serious projects because I think some of them are, but we felt that there was still sort of a gap in the market for us to come in and tweak the model a little bit so that we could build something that was really going to reinforce the flywheel and really make this model more sustainable over the long term. Because our motivation is less sort of the short-term Ponzi-nomics, even though, we think that there will definitely be an opportunity to earn some money. Our intention is more to build something that's going to be an enduring protocol and really going to become like a lasting part of the Arbitrum ecosystem.
Yeah, that's great, and I can't agree more. Right. So one of the questions that I've seen a lot in a lot of different chats is like, you get the 3-3 model that launches and it's like, okay, well, what next, right? What are you actually going to build on top of it? How are you going to make this sustainable when there's 40 other 3-3 models? So to see innovation start to come through, and I mean, don't get me wrong, reworking the Solidly model itself into some of the ways that it's been done now is obviously great innovation on its own. But, that's the base model, and then we keep building on top of it. So to be able to actually take it and make it a long-term enduring thing, I think is going to be awesome as we see this play out. So, all right. So I don't want to, you already kind of covered the details on the typical 3-3 and all that stuff. And we've done a ton of these 3-3 style AMAs. So I don't want to hammer too much on that. But what I want to talk about is basically this whole kind of AMA is going to be all the new stuff that you guys have done. So that's what I want to talk about. So let's start talking about the never before seen features that you guys are launching with this 3-3 and how it's different and how it's going to improve the model. And you can take that wherever you want.
Yeah, I think that I can cover that. Basically, as Unified says, we are trying, to improve in few things. One of them is with Byte Masons and with their reliquary model, we can explain more in depth after. And also, about fundraising, the not in pre-sale, selling the tokens in a really undervalued price. We want to raise through the NFTs as Thena do. Why? Because we think that is quite a more sustainable to do that, because also the NFTs have their passive incomes revenues coming from the DEX's trading fees and also from royalties from the secondary sales of the main NFTs. We think that with that real yield model through the NFTs and fundraise the money through that, I think that it's quite a more sustainable. And after selling the NFTs, having the funds to cover all the costs and to provide liquidity to the DEX and to have the treasury DAO covered, we will launch the entire platform and the token via airdrop for our minters, our buyers, our top holders from the protocols who we are partnered with, and also the early contributors of our community. I think that's a really interesting point, never seen before on Arbitrum. I think that Unified, if you would like to add something.
Yeah, so just to sort of reiterate, sort of the key points that we need to hit with this model are, one, it's the community fundraiser through the NFTs. Two, I know a question that we've been asked a lot is what sort of rebase model we're using. We have decided to go with the same zero rebase model that Equalizer uses over on Phantom. And we believe that that's like the fairest model that kind of makes the thing attractive over the long term as new entrants enter the system. And then the new feature that we're implementing, which is sort of like the focus of this AMA, is that we've worked with the Byte Masons and we're implementing the reliquary contracts into all of our LP positions. So for anybody that doesn't know, the reliquary is an updated version of the Master Chef contract, which is the staking contract that emits token rewards over time. So like on Solidly, when you provide liquidity, you can stake your LP tokens and you'll earn the Solid tokens. And that works the same for us, except that with our staking model, when you provide liquidity, your position is represented as what we call a maturity adjusted NFT or an MA NFT. And so this NFT tracks how long your position has been staked, and you earn boosted rewards of the CHR token that scale up over time in proportion to how long your position has been staked. And so this tied in really nicely with the Chronos branding, with the Chronos model. And what's nice about this too is that because your liquidity position is an NFT, it opens up a lot of really interesting use cases. You can trade it over the counter using an NFT marketplace like OpenSea. And like I said, the longer you keep it staked, the more of the CHR token you're going to earn. So we think it's going to go a long way towards like making liquidity positions a little bit stickier, making it a little easier for projects to be able to have more predictable liquidity, and sort of curb this mercenary capital problem we've seen on these V33 dexes, where every epoch, people are just rotating into the highest APR pools. Now people are going to have to make a little bit more difficult decision, because if you want to rotate into a different pool, you're going to have to unstake your NFT, you're going to have to break liquidity, and by doing so, you're going to lose that boost that you've accrued until that point. And so that's like the major innovation, and that's why we have Samson on here. I think Samson could probably tell us a little bit more about the reliquary and how all that stuff works.
Oh, Unified, you took all my buzzwords. I don't know what I'm going to do. No, but definitely it's an exciting development. When the Chronos team reached out, initially there was considerations on using the reliquary model on their VE locks. But when reliquary was designed, it was meant to completely replace MasterChef, and the future we see is one where users are not forced to lock up, but instead can gain an additional value just through the maturity that they've accrued, their dedication or their oath to supplying that liquidity. So I think it's a very exciting development for Solidly to expand into this new incentive distribution method within the VE33 model as well. So it's a marrying of the two systems in a world first, really. Very exciting. Some users may be familiar with Reliquary through FBeats, which is an exchange called Beethoven on Phantom Network, and as well there's an open beta for Reliquary that we've implemented at digit.xyz. So if people want to try Relics out, you can do so in those two implementations existing. But otherwise, when Chronos launches, it will be the first massive scale implementation of Reliquary that will hopefully create a space where users can be rewarded extra for being early, but without being forced to, give up access to their liquidity, really. So, yeah, very, very, very cool, and very honored to share the stage on your announcement, guys, because hopefully this is the new model that everyone will want to fork from here on.
Yeah, I think that it's really interesting model. We will see how it's work. And just to clarify, we will audit all the contracts before launching, because it's a new implementation never seen before. We are in talks with one of the biggest auditors to creating probably a bounty program, to audit really good with as much developers possible, better, because we want to launch as much policing possible, and not to having bugs and things like that. Yeah, just to clarify that we will audit all the contracts before launching anything.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. Tons to unpack here. One, I think that's great. That's kind of what I was leaning towards when I saw your announcement that you guys have partnered with the Byte Masons. I was like, oh man, I hope they're bringing Reliquary to 3.3, because I had an AMA a while back with DeFi Nally, and he was telling me, all the ins and outs of Reliquary and like how cool it was, and so that's super cool to hear. It's super cool to be able to interview you guys, be able to hear about this. So a couple questions within that, right? So from my understanding of the Reliquary model, Unified, can you mute your mic?
Yes.
All right, thanks, homie. Couple questions then there within that, right? So are you guys going to incorporate a maturity max for the positions, right? Like FBeats has a max maturity that it can reach, and then you can kind of combine it. There's a way to gamify it. Are you incorporating all those same features?
Yeah, so we spent a long time looking at this, and if there's anybody in the audience that knows how the MA Beats model looks, it's like a double sigmoid curve. It sort of goes up and then levels off in the middle, and then sort of like a big S. We're using a straight linear curve, and so the way ours is going to work is that it's going to, for each epoch that elapses, you're going to get a 0.33% boost over the baseline, and that'll happen every week for 6 weeks. And at the end of 6 weeks, when it maxes out at a 2x total boost, then it'll level off. And you'll keep earning CHR emissions with that double boost at that point pretty much forever until you unstake the position.
Okay, very cool. All right, and so can you combine, well, yeah, I guess this is a little bit different. I'm just wondering, is there a way for you to roll maturity into another position? Is that possible? If you have, I don't know if it works in the same way with your linear curve. I guess it really wouldn't.
No, there's no way to roll it into another position, and that's by design. Because what we don't want people to do is, what we want is for people to provide liquidity We want that liquidity to stay in the pool that it was initially provided in, because that allows protocols to have like a little bit more consistency from one epoch to the next in what their liquidity situation looks like. And it lets them get a better idea of what they need to incentivize, how they need to be voting, and how they need to be bribing more incentives. And so there's no lockup period, like Samson said, but we wanted it to be the sort of thing that we want people to make a decision that's a little bit more involved than simply which pool has the highest APR. Because a pool that has a really high APR for one epoch might not have good incentives over an entire 6-week period. And so it sort of lends itself really well to this idea that Solidly was sort of designed to, put out there, was that we want liquidity providers to be a little less predatory and a little bit more like an integral part of this whole ecosystem. And that doesn't mean that like we don't want them to make profit, but it also, there's like a lot of benefit for projects to be able to, predict things out more than a week at a time.
I think the other thing that you'll see is like when a new pool gets rewards, there may not be such a delay in like that first week getting diluted, because once people start to realize how powerful the maturity is, they're not going to want to miss out. So hopefully you get this, situation where there's just way more value being converted faster, because nobody wants to miss out on, getting that max maturity first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
also,
100%.
yeah, just a quick thing that like we want to reward our early community, early supporters, and as Samson says, it's like if you're starting with the maturity model quickly, you probably will reach the top of maturity in your position soon, and you will receive as the maximum boost, as soon as possible, and also incentives a lot. To keep the capital there and not to like farming hard at the beginning when the APR is high, and after go to the next DEX and that. Yeah, that's the purpose.
There's actually another like side effect, and that is that because it's a relic and not just a typical MasterChef, the Beefy Finance and other auto compounder solutions, even like Reaper Farm, they don't have relic harvest solutions built yet. So there's also this weird, like, it's kind of going to predate us a little bit, and everyone will have to manually manage all of their own positions, as opposed to like having like a smart contract dump the token, let's say, for more of their assets. So we may get like an interesting experience here that we haven't had for a while, and I'm sure this is going to prompt, or I hope it's going to prompt some teams to begin thinking of solutions of how to actually manage the relics. At Reaper Farm, we like are experimenting with managing a lot of the VE NFTs. So we have like a vault that will manage your vote and compound your gains on Velodrome and also on Thena, although it's in beta. So that is like, we're starting to realize some of the challenges that come with managing not just like one wallet that contains everyone's shared contributions, like a vault, right? Now we have to manage hundreds, if not thousands, of these NFTs to make sure that they are all being treated. So it's quite a different paradigm for auto compounders, and I'm excited to see Chronos like grow within this new paradigm, and hopefully make the early rewarders feel like they get to enjoy the most out of providing their liquidity, since they are the ones taking the most risk. So yeah, just another thing to think about.
There are also some kind of interesting downstream effects of this to consider. And one of those that I've been thinking a lot about is how this is going to affect the bribe marketplace. We expect that on average, the bribe marketplace is probably going to be a little bit more competitive on Chronos, because now that people have this added incentive to keep their liquidity in place, we're going to need to see higher incentives to convince them to switch over to other pools. And then the other thing that we're talking to a couple of projects about trying to implement a really convenient way to do the secondary market is in the event that somebody does want to change pools, if there's really high APR on a pool, they don't have to necessarily break their liquidity position because they can just sell the NFT over the counter. And we expect that what we're going to see is that more mature NFTs are going to trade at a premium over the underlying token position. And what we expect to happen there is that's like a really easy and convenient way for projects that are trying to build up higher protocol-owned liquidity. We think that we're going to see the higher emissions flowing into the hands of the people that are buying up these NFTs and are building up their voting and incentivization power that way. So it's really hard to predict. We've been trying to design models for everything, but we think that it's going to work out really well for the protocol and for the price of CHR, which obviously, the higher the price of the emission is, the better the incentive is, and the better the flywheel is.
Yeah, completely agree. And that's kind of what I was thinking is the gamification that early investors can do as they build the maturity up in the NFTs, trade at a premium, right? Restart a position, be in profit, etc. So that's super cool. And I think this whole incorporation is awesome, right? Because I was talking to one of my buddies not that long ago. We were kind of joking about when the Byte Masons were going to launch at 3.3 and just crush everybody. And have some of their incorporations in it. So like to see Reliquary being merged into this, like on top of the Thena model, which was its own whole new system, and just to kind of see these different foundational pieces like coming together, and the different ways that they can be done, and just the ways that you're starting to see these rewards compound on top of each other and really incentivize behaviors, right? Because the typical behavior in DeFi is like, I bought a pre-sale, let me dump it on somebody, like get out real quick. And now you're incentivizing people to really build an ecosystem and think long-term, right? What can I do with this at a period of time in the future? How much more valuable is this going to be? So I love that all these things are like coming together, and it's super cool to see. I'm super excited for you guys. It's obviously a great partnership, and these technologies work great together. So, brilliant move by you guys.
I want to interject real quick before you ask another question, and just point out it's really cool to be able to design these different user behaviors like you're describing. One of them, in this case, the Chronos team is implementing a linear curve on the pool, so it's not exactly like a groundbreaking, like we don't all need to look at a graph to understand what a diagonal line looks like, but in the future, I was saying to the team, like, you could consider even doing like 2 pools with different, incentives that have different lengths as well. For example, with Reliquary, you can program a bell curve instead of a linear curve. And with a bell curve, you're essentially creating a model where the inactive liquidity that's lazy and sitting at the end actually is earning about as much as the just starting people. People that have just entered the pool. Okay, so the people in the middle that are actually balancing the maturity, they're actually earning the most rewards. So what that would actually be in practice is a user is DCAing in their position, adding more weight, and thereby diluting their maturity, since reliquaries are based on the amount of token inside and weighted proportionally. So you essentially can incentivize users to DCA for optimal yield, which obviously is just, I don't know, I think that's a hack, but looking forward to seeing how the team plays with the toolkit, because they've really only just got their hands on it. So it's an open invitation as well, I think I wanted to make to everyone. Like, Reliquary is open source. It's such an improvement over the existing paradigm. And we really want to encourage that all protocols, even like gaming protocols, like could use reliquary and find a way to more optimally distribute rewards to match incentives or match user behavior that they're trying to create. So I just wanted to kind of tease you all into like the possibilities that the Chronos team like could do in the future with particular promotions. And this is something that I'll be exploring with the team, like when we're ready. Because if no one else wants to do it, maybe we'll, find a way to do it with them.
Yeah, with this being so new, we wanted to kind of roll it out in a way that's relatively easy to understand. But like Samson said, there's a lot of flexibility with this technology, and we're also like actively engaged with our partners and the partnerships that we're still, getting set up to help build this secondary services for all of us. And so this is something that, when we launch, it's probably going to be sort of the version one, but there's so much flexibility and so much potential for it in the future. We're hoping that this is something that will be continued to dial in and really like turn this into a new paradigm in the crypto space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm super excited to see it play out because there's, obviously Samson's brain is on a much different level than mine. But to just the ideas that he's throwing out there about the way that this can evolve is really crazy. And with teams like this, like pushing this stuff forward, is going to be huge. And I think, I'm super excited because I was kind of a fan of like the original Solidly model. I didn't really know that much about it, right? But I saw like potential, and now there's so many use cases being built on top of it, and so much that as all these things have progressed, like I can only imagine where this is going to be just in 6 months from now, right? With the flexibility here, so very excited to see what you guys do with that. And then what you had talked about earlier, right, is the airdrops initially. What's kind of your thought process for airdropping all the rewards? How is that innovative per se? What does that do for like the initial launch kind of thing, or like what are the effects that you are anticipating seeing from that are positive for the investors?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. And yeah, as you says, our token we will drop via airdrop. Because as we telling before, like we want to prevent the token dumping at the beginning, and that's why we will reward our early community with that airdrop. Basically, we have really good vesting periods for minters, for users, and for protocols. I can go more in depth. For example, here in the pinned messages, you have the tokenomics. Basically, we will drop a Medium article explaining each part. But summarizing about the airdrop, we will have an allocation for protocols. We have 18%. We are distributing around zero point 0.8 and 1% per each protocol. Some of them also they are receiving 0.5%, depends of the value they provide. We are trying to close the partners as much value possible they provide. We give more airdrop for their bribes, governance, and liquidity. Basically, also we will have an airdrop for users. In that airdrop is around 28%. There we will have also vestings, as I commented before. We will launch the full article, Medium, and also the guidebook soon. You can take a look more in depth, but basically in that airdrop are eligible the people who mint the NFTs, who buy in on secondary sales, who are the top holders and the top community on the protocols we are partnered with. Yeah, also we will have an airdrop for minters. And yeah, just to go a little more in depth about that, for minters, we have an passive income, 2% of the royalties from secondary sales of the main NFT collection for life, okay, just for the mint, and also they will receive that airdrop. And we will have also really good rewards for the people who stake their NFTs. We will give 1% of royalties from secondary sales distributing each month, and also 10 to 20% of the trading fees of the DEX. That's how we plan it to go with the token launch. And yeah, I can go more in depth about the vesting and that if you want.
Yeah, one second. I kind of what I was really asking is, since you guys are airdrop, because this is different, right? What you guys are doing with airdropping is different than everyone having to go and claim, right? Because that becomes the race, right? Race to claim, race to dump, race to get max value. Was that like your thought process, right? Was to give all the early investors, everybody, the same token at the exact same time, right? As kind of, in my mind, it's kind of like a true, almost a new version of kind of a true fair launch for the people who invested early, right? Instead of it being a race to get the max value.
Yeah, exactly. That's our thoughts when we started thinking about the model. Like we taking few weeks just thinking about it, policing the details, policing the tokenomics, and all of that. Yeah, really quickly, we will have for the minters a 2 month linearly vesting starting at TG. Also for users, 4 month linearly vesting starting at TG. For protocols, we will airdrop fully in B tokens locked 2 years. Yeah.
All right, very cool. All right, so then let's kind of, I appreciate that. So let's kind of talk a little bit more about um, some of the mechanics here, right? So the vest and lock time frames, right? What's the minimum and what's the maximum that you guys are going for locking tokens?
So for the V tokens, our maximum lock that gives the most voting power is 2 years, which is still a long V token lockup. But we took a lot of notes from the model that Equalizer used, and that's why we went with the zero rebase model, because we think that keeps things really fair for later participants that enter. With all rebase based models, what we saw was that early adopters were continuing to accrue tokens and therefore accrue their voting position without necessarily needing to participate in the protocol in like a helpful or cooperative way. And so by eliminating the rebases, there's more of an incentive for voters to also be farmers or to be token purchasers and to continually be adding to their position and locking tokens off the market over time. And it also reduces inflation.
Okay, very cool. And then one thing, what was the minimum lock time?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, we are on it. Probably we will do 2 weeks. We will see, but we are on it. We will release all the information soon in our Gitbook, probably in around 2 days. And yeah,
The
we are.
minimum doesn't matter. Everyone should lock for the maximum.
Everyone should, but everyone won't. Everyone won't. So you got to give them. But I mean, you do. You see that demand for people who are like, hey, I don't really want to lock my stuff up for 2 years because who knows what regulations and other things for people in
Yeah.
in the country, like the United States, for example, are going to do to our ability to claim that money later, right? So having the ability to get your liquidity a couple weeks later, yeah, you may get less of a boost, but giving those options to everybody, I think, is important.
Well, now, just to be clear, for the liquidity providers, there's no lockup period at all. It's only for people who lock the CHR token to VCHR to earn the right to vote on the platform's gauges and earn the trading fees. And so that's what we're going to be airdropping, is a mix of locked BCHR and also loose vested CHR. And so with that, if people are worried about, of course there are going to be people that dump the airdrop, like we're aware that'll happen. But because this is sort of like a community airdrop and there's no capital investment, we really think that we want people to participate in the protocol. And by giving early participants a way to do that for free, there's sort of like, there's no harm, no foul. Like, you got free tokens, go ahead and lock them up and let's start playing with this thing and see how it works. Because we think that once people start using it, they're really going to like how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was not a fan of the VE model until I got my Thena airdrop for being an oath bag holder. And when I started playing with it, I was like, oh God, like this is kind of brilliant. Like it is like impressive to me compared to like my experience of, you know, owning Boo or Beats even, and the amount of revenue that you could like get from your token. It was kind of shocking to me. So yeah, kind of impressive. I hope users do give it a go, and I hope users also give the liquidity provision a try and see what the relics are all about. Because you know, the good thing about those VE, I think the silver lining is at least it's an NFT. So if you can sell it, you know, you might have to take a haircut because it is locked, and you know, that again, that's why we prefer the reliquary system. But alas, for the incentives to make sense, this is what the Chronos team has landed on, and I'm excited to see the model play out. And you know, to reiterate, DeFi, Raider, your point, or Relentless, sorry, it is awesome to see like growth on this product. You know, I did lock the original solidly with Andre, despite my even Beavis's words of caution. I was like, oh yeah, no, this seems good. And you know, when I had that 4-year lock, I was like, oh shit, I kind of burnt that money. And then we kind of got that door out through the OXDAO migration, etc. But yeah, 4 years is a long time, guys. It really is. So it can be hard to appreciate when you're like aping in, but they are really cool DeFi instruments. You know, there's never really been anything quite like it before, and it's definitely exciting to pioneer in the space. And yeah, just wanted to chuck that in.
Well, and from our point of view, you know, I think that the entities that benefit the most from locking and from earning those fees and from controlling those gauges, we've seen ever since the original Curve model, are the protocols themselves. And so we've kind of designed this project to be something that's going to be really attractive to protocols. And so we have the lock requirement on the gauge voting for kind of like, you know, the bigger ones with skin in the game. But then for the average person, that's the liquidity provider, they're an integral part of this system as well. And for them, it's a lot easier to earn without the requirement of any sort of lockup. You can always exit your position.
So cool.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Yeah, well thought out, well thought out. I think that's going to be really attractive for projects. Yeah, 100%. All right, cool. That was a great breakdown, guys. I really appreciate that. One question that I do have on the locking, I know, or not the locking, sorry, we just covered the locking, the voting, right? So I know everyone kind of understands how the voting works. You vote for each epoch, you get the emissions. I asked this in another AMA because I thought about it one day while I was on my computer. I was really busy. I was trying to vote, and I was really annoyed that I had to keep going back and voting for the same thing. Is it going to be a feature in your project for long-term voting, right? If I like automatic voting, right? So, or can I set a period of like a month out, right? I want to vote for this same thing for a month, and it'll automatically renew my votes without me having to go in and redo it.
So we don't have anything like that now, but that is something that was talked about like early on, even before we settled on the model. And so all of those little kind of quality of life upgrades are something that we're going to be accepting feedback from the community and, perpetually kind of refining and making things work in the most user-friendly way possible.
Yeah, also before a few days ago, in some calls with the development team, we talked about this. As you says, the voting is a little difficult sometimes for people who don't have time or who just prefer to automate because they know their strategies from the beginning. Yeah, that's really good feature. Who we are in talks with the developer to integrate. We will see. I think that is totally doable. We will see, but yes, probably we will try to do as soon as possible. Let's see if happens before launching with the auditors and that, just to make sure that all goes well. And if not, we will do after that. But sure, that's really good point. Also, we are in talks with the developers to achieve new objectives after that. For example, one of the principal ones after the launch, that we review with the auditors the contracts and that we will try to implement the Uniswap V3 liquidity concentration. We think that it's also a really, really important feature who all the DEXs need to implement because it's really valuable and makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we are working on it, but right now also I want to comment that we are really focused on the NFTs because that's coming next week, 29th of March. We will start in the mint phases. Yeah, after that we will have around 7 to 10 days to finalizing the audits about the exchange and that, and also to implement that little things. Yeah, that's how where we are.
I wanted to plug Relentless. Have you seen the Velo voter that Reaper Farm has? Are you familiar with it?
Are you talking about on Pain?
Because basically it's what you're describing. It's like an automatic voter where users can deposit their NFTs and it will automatically sort of vote and compound for them. This is something that we designed with the Velodrome team, and I wouldn't be surprised in the future if like the next generation Solidly fork just like embeds the Reaper Farm vault for people like in their front end so that they can just get that automatic service if they wish. So at the very minimum, in the future, Reaper could develop something for the Chronos ecosystem to manage all those votes on Arbitrum. And that could be a solution otherwise if the team doesn't end up building their own solution. I know that on Equalizer, the vote sticks, and that's like a pretty reasonable design. So, even a simple fix like that, I think it does go a long way for users. But otherwise, hopefully we can, announce something in the future once we have that system a bit more refined. At the moment, we need to not be introducing more projects until we sort of get it to the service that we want to provide. But I just wanted to make you aware that, there are other solutions external to Chronos that could be made available to people in the future to otherwise like give people that service and peace of mind or convenience rather.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if you're in the audience, you're not familiar with it, you can go to you can go to pain.finance and be on the Optimism chain, and you can deposit your Vvelo NFTs there. Is that what you're referencing, Samson? Because that's where I put mine. Oh, he dropped off. But yeah, you can deposit your VE NFT, and it does all the management for you, pays out in USDC. So
yeah, we're going to be, and I mentioned it earlier, but like all of these secondary services are things that we're going to be dealing closely with our partners to build. And so just bear with us, because with this being new and with everything moving at the speed of DeFi, we're going to try to get launched, here as soon as possible. And then we'll be really welcoming user feedback to really get things dialed in and offer some of these quality.
Sorry.
Yeah, you were coming through. You dropped off for a second, but yeah, I was just telling everybody about Payne.finance if they weren't aware.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I didn't know the best way to do my Velo stuff, and I tend to forget a lot of the random V NFTs that I have because I don't get to do this full time. So when that, I think I don't remember who plugged it to me, but that's the first thing I did was throw them in there. So I was like, man, I don't have time for this. So, and it pays out in USDC, which is super cool. So, all right. So one thing I want to talk about with the tokenomics, I know you covered kind of where the tokens are going to go, but then like allocations, right? So one of the things that's been brought up to me, and this was in fairness, this was one of the same concerns when people were doing the math for the Athena NFTs was how long it was going to take to recoup your investment, right? So if all of the NFTs meant if you got a 9 million market cap, FTV of 25 mil to start. So there's a concern there about how long that would take to ROI, with 20% being available initially, and then the 8-week vest for the rest of the rewards, and then the rest is locked 50%. Obviously, I know there's tons of emissions from locking, but if you guys could just kind of talk through the rationalization for the distribution percentage of the of your token, locked versus not locked, the 9% airdrop, etc., and just why what's your thought process for that model and how you reassure anyone who wants to mint that they're going to ROI and it's worth, potentially worth the wait. It might ROI faster, but this is a legitimate question that people have. So yeah, long-winded question, but
yeah. So we recognize that the NFTs are a relatively large capital investment for a lot of people, but we've also added a lot of ways for those to accrue value. So at the start, by staking your NFT, you're going to be getting 20% of all trade fees generated by the platform. And the really nice thing about those trade fees is that you'll be earning them from every pool on the platform, unlike the V NFT, where you're only earning the trading fees from the pools you voted for. So while it's less percentage, it's spread across all the pools instead of just one or two pools each epoch. And that's going to stay at 20% for 3 months. After 3 months, it'll scale down to 15. It'll stay there for 3 months, and then it'll level off at 10% from then on. The other thing that you get is for the original NFT minters, you're going to get a 2% royalty share every time one of those NFTs gets sold on the secondary market. And then an additional 1% of the royalty for the secondary is going to go to a staking pool and be distributed amongst the stakers. So if you're one of the original minters, you're really getting a 3% royalty payment on that. And then you'll also be guaranteed to get the airdrop if you mint an NFT. And so if all the NFTs sell out, that's going to be, I think we're doing 4.5 million tokens going to the NFT minters. And so that'll be about 810 tokens each at the time of the airdrop, which can be sold or hopefully will be used to participate in the platform and earn additional revenues that way. So we've tried to, just like with everything else, kind of build in long-term incentives. And it's just going to come down to, as by minting that NFT, you're like really becoming one of the founding members, because that's the startup capital that we're going to use to launch the project. And so while you do have the maximal risk, you also have like a pretty sizable earning opportunity over time. But as far as like how long it's going to take you to do that, I mean, I can't comment on that. Just it's going to take, it's going to come down to how successful the protocol is and how high trade volumes are and how quick we establish dominance.
Yeah, it makes sense. And no, I was not trying to box you into like a time frame for when someone's going to be flush, right? That's like asking you to guarantee a date for a launch when you just, when you just started, or asking for a price valuation of what you anticipate your token going to. But just kind of, I just wanted to kind of get your kind of thought process on why you built the tokenomics the way that you did, and how you kind of, saw those playing out. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Um, so, and then as far as I guess a little bit more just on the tokenomics, I think it's important to highlight what you're distributing to your partner protocols, and then the lock, kind of the lock duration, right? And how much? I don't know if you guys have done like the full model. If everything sells, if all your NFTs sell, right, and then the partnership allocations, right, what would be the actual kind of market cap, or circulating supply, right, off the rip?
Yes, that's a really good question. And yeah, just to summarizing what you asked about why we decide to create in that model, we take in reference from the top solidly forks, Thina, Velodrome, and Equalizer, and we trying to do a better model. How one implementing that all that new features, and two having a more vesting and more time for the vesting, after launching the token. We think that's crucial, that's really important. And also to have a sustainable emissions, sustainable model, that's how we created the tokenomics. Also, we review it with all our advisors, developers. It's really, really policed one. We will explain in an article, in a Medium article, really soon. In the next days, probably we will launch the full tokenomics explanation and all the details. But yeah, that's a really good question about the initial circulating supply, market cap, price of the token. The initial circulating supply will be 3.8 million tokens. Initial market cap around 1 million, 1.3 millions. Fully diluted market cap around 17 millions. And yeah, that's basically, I think, I covered your question. And we expect to launch the token at around zero point 0.2 cents or zero point 0.3 cents at that price. Yeah, we are creating that, and we launch with that market cap, with that fully diluted market cap, just to prevent also the big dumps and the pumps and dumps, who normally happens when a token launched. Just to creating something sustainable who makes sense to enter at the beginning, but also to make sense and not pumping hard and after dumping to the floor, as we've seen in other dexes before. Yeah, that's how we create the tokenomics and why. I think that I covered all. I don't know if you have some more other question about tokenomics.
No, I mean, I think that covers it pretty much, especially for kind of the information that we have, um, as far as, what I was really kind of interested in. Um, I guess not really a tokenomics question, but I do want to ask, since you guys are incorporating so many things, I meant to ask it earlier, and I apologize for circling back, but split merge function for your VE NFTs, are you guys incorporating that?
Sorry, can you repeat? I'm not hearing.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Sorry, my mic I think dragged me.
Oh, no worries. I was just asking if you guys solved the split merge function for the VE NFTs, and if that's going to be a possibility.
To be honest, I don't have a clear answer. I don't know Nifayet as you working with Levi with that. If you already know, I prefer not to say in something 100%.
No, we spoke with Danny today, our lead developer, and we are going to have the split merge function.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I think that's like, it's not a huge thing, but it is a huge thing, and a lot of people have wanted it, and now a lot of 3.3s didn't have it, right? So to see it start to get incorporated, I think is a big step forward too.
Yeah, as far as some of those like quality of life upgrades that we do have, we'll have the split merge. Some of the split merge functionality that comes part and parcel with the relic is probably something that we will not have a UI for at the
I
start.
think your micro don't hear really good.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I was saying just some of the user interface stuff. We'll have split merge on the VNFTs, and then probably something we won't have at launch, but that we'll be looking to develop a user interface for will be the split and merge interface for the relics as well. So you can continually, you can split them apart, you can add them together. We've partnered with Firebird Finance, and they're going to be they've already helped us work on our front end. One of the biggest sort of complaints with the early solidly models was just how janky the UI was, and it was hard to provide liquidity and hard to do swaps and hard to do everything. Ours is going to be, smooth and operational from the very start. They're also going to be integrating our pools into their DEX aggregation feature from day one.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, a lot of exciting stuff that you guys have. And then one other question that I have is just kind of, because I know that fees are pretty important for kind of the flywheel effect on top of all the liquidity that you guys are bringing on. So 2 questions I'll just ask them back to back and you can answer them both. What are the fees associated with the platform? And then who are the partners that you guys are bringing on in order to bring that initial liquidity to really help kickstart the flywheel on top of the money invested from NFT mentors?
So I'll let Chronos talk about the partners, and we have a lot that we can't really reveal yet because we'll be revealing over the next couple of weeks. We've got some of the usual suspects, and some of the projects we're talking to, and then we've got a little bit of unique
Unify it. Your micro is not good, I think. Yeah, I think that I can cover the partners part. For now, we are partnering with a lot of projects. To be honest, I don't know if I missed someone, but as you said, for the initial liquidity and flywheel, we partner with FBOM, Impermax, Sphere Finance, and Dyson Money, Gel Farming Index, Tarot Finance, Overnight. We are in talks with 5 more other partners, really big ones. We are also in talks with few top 100 coin market cap projects. Yeah, I think that we will cover really good that. Also, all that projects will do bribes, obviously, to incentivize liquidity farmers to put their liquidity there. Yeah, I think the partnership part is that. I don't know if you want to add something.
No, that was great. That was quick and dirty.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of partners. I know I've been communicating with you guys throughout a little bit of this, and I see a lot of the work that's. I don't know all the details, but I see a lot of work that's happening in the background. So I imagine there's quite a few more partners coming. So it's obviously a great sign to have that initial liquidity to back everything that you're trying to do. And then just the last question there was what are the fees associated with using the platform?
So we're probably going to launch at 0.02%. We may bump that up to 0.03, but we're implementing a set function that's going to be controlled by the multisig. So we'll be able to have variable fees and reduce them over time with volume if we need to. Most solidly forks use 0.02%, but we're looking pretty strongly at 0.03 because we feel that that is like a negligible amount for the average user. And when that really adds up is with arbitrage costs, because then you have to
Unify, I don't know what happens today with your mic,
Yeah, it's
bro,
like
but
halfway through your sentence, it kills you.
yeah.
Oh, I'm not even moving.
Oh, yeah, now yes.
Okay. So yeah, we were playing with the idea of 0.03% because with arbitrage bots, that 0.01% really adds up and can really generate a high amount of fees. And that's like a negligible amount for the average user. So it's something that we're going to talk about internally, but we should, we're interested in generating fees.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, fees are important, but obviously, users, there was the question there for a while about is it going to be a race to zero, right? And I know that the fees aren't necessarily making the platform any money, anyways, like you specifically as a team,
Yeah.
but definitely important for the continuation.
Yeah. Just to summarize, I don't know if all of you guys could hear Unified well, but yeah, for variable pools, probably zero point 0.3, as Unified said, for stable pools, 0.01. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Okay, so let's get to kind of some of the last little bit of the juicy stuff is just how do people get whitelist to mint the NFTs? When does whitelist minting begin? After the private sale is over, and then what's left over? When does public begin?
Yeah, that's interesting question. Right now, the way you can earn that whitelist basically are three main ways. One, be one of the top holders for in our like from our partners. The top holders will receive the user's airdrop. Also, supporting us in social media like liking, commenting, retweeting, help to spread the rumor, doing good threads, doing good posts, explaining and teaching the community how it's worked, this new model. Also, like be a supporter in our community, helping others, creating good vibes and that. Also, people who are creating memes and fun art, who right now in our Discord is crazy. That part, there are a lot of designers doing really, really good designs for that. Also, they probably will take all of them whitelist. Yeah, I think that's the three main ways. Also, before that, we open it to for the first people who boost the server. We already have around 400 boosts. That's crazy. We need to cut because if not, all the people will take whitelist just for boosting. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. Also, we are raffling some spots with our partnerships as Alpha DAO, Millennium Club, um, DeFi Riders, also Unidentified DAO, and a few others who we are raffling some whitelist spots. If you are there, probably you will get. And yeah, as you says, right now we are on the private sale. We open it today for all our community, a private sale Google Forms. You can go there and like you can do that form, to apply for be a private investor. We have really quality questions just to know who are the ones who buy the NFTs, in an early stage. We want to know and we want to prevent whales just coming here for pumping and dumping. We have also a maximum allocation per user, not much than 20 NFTs per user. And yeah, I think that's what we are doing right now. After that, we will start with the meme phase next 29th of March. We will release all the well. I think we already released all the details about the mint in our Medium. You can take a look. Yeah, go through our Discord, take a look there, And also, one thing who I would like to comment, I don't know how much if you are finalizing the AMA or you want to take more questions, but yeah, basically about the whitelist for all the audience, or I think that we can go when finalized as you prefer.
No, I mean, how many whitelist spots you got to give away?
Yeah, I think we will do for all the people who are here till the end, hearing us, supporting us. We can give whitelist. You just need to send us a DM with a screenshot here or in our Discord. Go there and say, "Hey, coming from DeFi Riders," and we will give you whitelist. Thanks for supporting. Around 1 hour doing this AMA or a little more. Yeah, I think that we can do for all the community here.
That's awesome. Hell yeah, everybody. Take a screenshot, go submit that in their Discord. I really appreciate that, man. And honestly, for it to only be an hour and 20 minutes with the way that I know Unified is kind of shocking. You know, he can talk for an hour and 20 minutes himself.
Well, now I want to talk more because you said something.
I was baiting.
No,
I was baiting.
Just to finish up, I just wanted to say that we have Levisor on the team who wrote that really incredible article a while back that modeled out all of the rebased formulas for Equalizer. And he's been working super hard. We're producing a ton of great Medium articles and a ton of great educational content. So if you're interested in learning more, if there's anything here that you didn't understand, please join our Discord server. Keep an eye on our Medium channel. And don't hesitate to reach out if you need clarification on anything or need some more resources. We're really happy to help. I also wanted to thank Samson. We're super excited to be working with the Byte Masons to kind of be the flagship for this, and just to thank him for being here today. That partnership means a lot to us, and we appreciate the support.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for the platform and for giving it a go. And yeah, I hope we can create a new paradigm for everyone to appreciate.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this play out for you guys. Knowing the team the way that I do, it's super cool that you guys gave me the opportunity to host this and to be able to have Samson on here as well. I'm really appreciative of your guys' time and for giving me the opportunity. It really means a lot to me. So thanks so much, guys, for joining us, for coming on here, pitching this. I'm really excited to see this play out for you. And for everyone out there, hop into their Discord. It's pretty active. It went from, I don't know how many people you got now, 8,000. I was in there when there were like 7, and then all of a sudden it just exploded. So there's a lot of good stuff going on in there. Follow them on Twitter, get involved, keep track of the progress. So thanks again so much for coming on. It's really been a pleasure to talk to you, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks you guys for having us. Thanks Unified for supporting us as you do every day. It's a pleasure to work with you, man. And yeah, thanks Samson also. Really good job what you guys are building with the recurring model and Byte Masons. Love it to work with you guys. Really quality partner for sure. Yeah, let's try to create a new paradigm on solidly forks. That's to be honest one of my dreams. To supporting and to give a little about us, about our knowledge, about our working to the community, as open source code and the new dexes could fork it if they like that model. Love it to support DeFi, to support Arbitrum, a long time here. Yeah, I'm really excited also, for the launch and to see how it's going on. Let's go. Thanks.
Before everyone signs off, let's put some love hearts in the chat for Relentless for hosting this and for asking all the great questions. Let me see them. Let's show them some support. Just an emote. It's free. It's easy.
I appreciate
yeah, thanks
that.
everyone for coming.
Thanks so much for the kind words. That really means a lot. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate your time and support. Blessed to be able to do this with you. If you're here,
one thing.
oh, go for it.
One last thing, sorry. The AMA will be recorded, right?
Yes, so it's recording on Twitter right now. I'm going to make another recording of it and send it to my audio guy tomorrow, and he'll get it up on YouTube.
Nice, nice. Love it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks
Thank
again.
you.
If you're hearing this on YouTube right now for the first time, hit that like and subscribe. Help us expand our reach. Once again, I'm Relentless from DeFi Raiders. We'll see you next time.